of writing out ornaments as they should be played is a question that sometimes comes up in music theory exams. The question is designed to test a number of different music theory concepts. For example, you're tested on your knowledge about the various types of ornament. Do you know the difference between a mordent and a turn, for example? You're tested on your ability to handle the notation of rhythmic note values, which might include, for example, triplets or very fast notes such as hemi-demi-semiquavers or 30-second notes. And of course you'll be tested on your attention to detail such as noticing the tempo of the piece, the other note values which are being used in the piece, and also of course getting the right pitches used in the ornament. There are always several different possible ways to write out an ornament, so if you're practicing this question and your answer differs from the answer key in a workbook, it doesn't necessarily mean that your answer is wrong. Always check with the teacher because there are usually many possible ways to write the answer. When you're writing out ornaments, the first step is to know the pattern of the notes used for each ornament. Here you can see a trill, a turn which is directly above a note, a turn which is slightly after a note, an inverted mordent, and an appoggiatura. The second step is to look at the tempo of the music and to notice the note values which have been used for the majority of the piece. For most ornaments, you need to choose a note value for the ornament which is faster than the notes used elsewhere in the piece. But it shouldn't be too fast for the tempo. I mean, it needs to be playable. If you're playing in a presto tempo and you're writing very, very fast notes, then it might just be impossible to play. So the note values you choose need to be suitable. Thirdly, you need to do some mathematical calculations to work out how to subtract the value of the ornament from the other notes in the bar. Some ornaments take time from the previous note before the principal, for example the accacciatura and other grace notes. Other ornaments take time from the principal note, for example the trills, turn, mordent and appoggiatura. You need to isolate the part of the bar which will need altering. It's a good idea to draw a circle or a box round the notes that will need to change. The rest of the notes need to stay the same. Finally, you need to make sure that everything adds up correctly and is also beamed correctly, and that any accidentals, for example, have been added in the right place. Here are a few more tips for specific ornaments. Sometimes a trill is preceded or followed by another ornament, and this might look like an accacciatura or an appoggiatura. But actually this simply shows you the starting or ending notes of the trill, and you don't need to squeeze in a fully notated accacciatura, for example, before the trill. In the example here, we can see a small E written before the D which has the trill. This is just telling us that the trill should start on the note E and not on the note D. Trills need to be written in quick notes. This trill ends with two grace notes A sharp and B sharp, which need to be used like a turn at the end. Trills should always end on the principal note. This means you might need to add a triplet figure at the end so that the notes fit into the allotted time. Accidentals which are written above an ornament will affect the note above the principal, and vice versa. When you're writing very quick notes, it can be helpful to realise that a pair of equal value beamed notes will keep the same overall time if you add a beam to one side and add a dot to the other. Each time you add a dot to one side and a beam to the other side, the pair of notes keeps the same overall value. For appoggiaturas, use the value of the notated ornament and then subtract this from the principal note. In this example, the notated ornament is a semiquaver or 16th note, so we need to subtract that note from the quaver or 8th note F. If you have a double appoggiatura, the pair of ornamental notes will take up half of the allotted time, and the other half belongs to the principal note. The original principal note here was a quaver, or eighth note. I divided it into two, into a semiquaver, or 16th note, and then gave one half of the time to the pair of ornamental notes. Mordants. In this example, the lower mordant needs to fit into the time of one crotchet or quarter note. It should be written in notes that are faster than semiquavers or 16th notes, so that it sounds quicker than the rest of the melody. If I use two demi-semiquavers or 30 seconds, it will take up 1/4 of the allotted time. So then a dotted quaver, or dotted eighth note, makes up the rest of the allotted time. This accacciatura will take its time from the previous note, which was B flat. The previous note is worth one triplet quaver, or triplet eighth note. Accacciaturas need to be played very quickly, so I'll use a very fast note like a demi-semiquaver, or 30 second. The turn figure consists of 4 notes, so with the principal included there are 5 notes to fit into one crotchet or quarter note. Here are 2 ways it could be written. There are many possible solutions, including writing all 5 notes as a semiquaver quintuplet or a 16th note quintuplet. As long as we have the right pattern of notes and the right speed of notes, then the ornament is correct.